Protect your car with 3W Liners all-weather floor mats. Made from durable materials like TPE and rubber, our mats are designed to withstand rain, snow, and mud with deep grooves to trap dirt and liquids. For a custom fit and advanced protection, visit 3W Liners. That's the number 3, WLINERS.com today. Cases, innovation drives us. Since 2008, we've been creating cutting-edge technology products that make your life easier. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. From gourmet snacks to unique finds, each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.
Hello and welcome on into another episode of The Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart, Zach Burke, keeping us on the air as he does every weekday when we're live on YouTube, as we are right now, high noon Eastern time, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Talking Boston sports today, talking about the Celtics. It's begun. All right, they've made their first major move in the 2025-26 offseason for this new-look Celtics. We will go over the Jrue Holiday trade and why it is so surprising that Brad Stevens has reloaded with this trade. What was Portland thinking? Plus, we will talk about Alex Cora and this Red Sox team that's all of a sudden getting off the rails again. Is that seat getting hotter for Alex Cora? Because things are not getting much better, and the outbreaks are becoming more and more common. So let's talk about that. And also, the Bruins have a draft this week as well. Is James Higgins, the BC star, actually going to slip to them at number 7? A guy who was the former number 1 prospect in this draft class. Will he be available for a storybook kind of ending at number 7 and stay in Boston to play for the Bruins and fill it exact Boston Bruins need? All that and more coming up on this episode of The Cam Show, but we start where we start. Here we go, guys. The new look Celtics, it's just beginning. We knew they were going to have to make some moves in this offseason, specifically after the Jayson Tatum injury. The first shoe dropped late Monday night. You were mostly sleeping, I imagine. Most of you were probably sleeping when this happened. Jrue Holiday is back in Portland for the second time in his career as a Portland Trailblazer. Kind of a weird setup. The Blazers obviously had him for like a week, and they traded him to the Celtics. Now the Celtics trade him back for Anfernee Simons and 2 second-round picks. We knew this was coming. We knew they were going to have to trade some of their major pieces from the 2024 championship team. Jrue Holiday at age 35, about to be 36, was the likely way to go for that, and that is the first shoe to drop. Jrue Holiday to Portland. Anfernee Simons in return. That's a bit of a surprise. That's a bit of the old Brad Stevens magic right there. I know it's an expiring contract, but the kid's 26 years old. He's averaged over 20 a game the last couple of seasons. He can fill up the score sheet mainly and almost entirely on the offensive end of things, but pretty good return when you consider that everyone in the league knew that the Celtics were going to need to trade some guys, specifically some of these veteran guys like Jrue Holiday, like Kristaps Porzingis, maybe even a Derek White type. And there didn't feel like there was that many landing spots for a guy like Jrue Holiday. And yet the Celtics get a pretty good deal out west. You don't trade him to anyone in the conference. You know, you're not trading him to any Eastern Conference contender that you're going up against every year. And you get a pretty good return. Like, you get a starter quality player and a couple of draft picks. Now, second round draft picks in the NBA, as we know, aren't worth a ton, but the Celtics love flipping those. This is a tough one to take, just as a Celtics fan in general, because Jrue Holiday was a huge part of your championship team. In fact, he was the missing piece of that championship team. The Celtics would not have won the NBA title last year had they had Marcus Smart in there instead of Jrue Holiday. There's no question they would not have won. And I know there are still some Celtics fans that don't want to admit that. But Jrue Holiday, man, I don't know if you can find someone who's had more of an impact on this franchise in such a small amount of time. 2 years, and yet he was the guy coming up with the huge plays last season. The little things that don't necessarily show up in a score sheet, the guy who's taking on the other team's best player night in and night out and is still elite at doing that, by the way. Check out the Ballo Banchero numbers against Jrue Holiday in that first round series. Check out some of the Jalen Brunson numbers, even in the Knicks series, when the Knicks looked like the better team and Jrue Holiday was battling an injury. He is an elite piece for a championship team. Obviously, the Blazers are not that, but they're looking to become a better defensive team. Here is the guy that you go in to plug that hole. They became better defensively as the year went on last year. Obviously, Chauncey Billups is trying to kind of build this in his image. the bad boy Pistons teams, the second iteration of the bad boy Pistons teams that he won an NBA championship with. Grit, defense. Jrue Holiday brings all of that. I mean, he has one of the best, most important defensive plays in recent Celtics history with sealing off that game 3 in Indiana. He was so huge in that series, a series where they swept a team that went to game 7 of the NBA Finals the next year. Jrue was a huge, huge part of that team. And you don't get there. You don't get anywhere near that without Jrue Holiday. But we knew what they needed to do. The Celtics needed to clear some room. They're going to be a second apron team almost no matter what. Here's what this Jrue Holiday trade does. It takes $5 million off the payroll this year because you bring in Anfernee Simons' contract, which we'll talk about in a minute. This deal takes $5 million off the payroll for 25-26. It also reduces your tax penalties by $40 million with this deal alone. And he's still got 3 years left on that contract, guys. Portland's taken on 3 years with a total of $104 million owed to a 36-year-old Jrue Holiday. It's a lot of money, man. It's a lot of money owed to a guy that age. But that's the first step. And I will note the first step because there are a lot of moves still to be made, I think, for the Celtics team. Let's talk about that in a second. First, let's talk Anfernee Simons because this is the guy you get in return. And I think it shocked a lot of people that the Celtics were able to nab a player of Anfernee Simons' ilk for, again, a player who is past his prime in Jrue Holiday. I think can still be a very effective player, but only for a certain small concentration of teams. This is what we saw with Jrue Holiday when he got traded to Portland and then to the Celtics. There were only a few teams that could really make the most of Jrue Holiday's services. And that's where I think Milwaukee messed up so much in that Dame Lillard trade was they knew Jrue Holiday wasn't going to stay in Rip City, wasn't going to stay in Portland. He was either going to go to Boston, Philadelphia, or Miami, all teams that were competing with the Bucks. And they knew that, and they took that risk, and it bit them in the ass. The Celtics got him, and they won an NBA title. Now they move on from what is a huge contract in the context where the Celtics are right now, and they get a good young player going into his prime in Anfernee Simons. I say young. This is going to be his 8th season in the NBA. You know, he came out basically right out of IMG, right? So he's basically a straight out of high school kid. He's on an expiring contract. I like the player's offensive ability. That's the compliment I'll give him. It is a bit surprising that you got a player this good for what Jrue Holiday is going to give you. But this Anfernee Simons comes in and he fits the 3-point Joe Mazzulla mold like 100%, right? Anfernee Simons comes in and he is going to be a good 3-point shooter for you. He's going to be, I think, a pretty good scorer off the bench. It's what I'd have to say. But this guy doesn't play a lick of defense. Okay. Guy shot over 50% when he was the primary defender last year. Portland became a better defensive team down the stretch, and it was a stretch where Anfernee Simons' minutes were going down. And you watch any game the Celtics played against the Blazers the last couple of years, you will see the same thing. They hunt him. They hunt him defensively, the way they did with Luka Doncic in the NBA Finals. So he doesn't almost nobody's going to come in and replace Jrue Holiday's defensive ability. Anfernee Simons doesn't come anywhere close. That said, he averaged 20 a game last year. He shot 43% from the floor. Okay, he shot, what did he shoot here? 36% from 3, which was down from 39% the year before. He takes a lot of threes, baby. He takes 9 threes a game. So he's going to fit in really well with that aspect of the Celtics game. But Mazzulla Ball does need some good defense and guys getting after it on the defensive end. Anfernee Simons is not going to do that. And by the way, his point totals went down. It was 21 per game in 22-23. It was 23 a game in 23-24. And it was down to 19 in 24-25. You do get him on an expiring contract. You owe him $27 million this year. The Celtics aren't done in this offseason, but where I think they really nail this is unless they're a true championship contender in March, which I don't think they're going to be, just because losing Jayson Tatum is that big a deal. I think they could be a decent team. I think they could be a playoff team. Anfernee Simons is one hell of a trade piece at the trade deadline. Oh, he is one hell of a chip at the trade deadline. You don't think you can get a first-round pick for that guy at the deadline? He'll still be 26 years old. He'll be averaging 15 points a game off the bench. You know, he'll give you some Malcolm Brogdon type of numbers, which will put him in the sixth man of the year category conversation. Teams will be all over that. Someone might give up 2 first-round picks for him at the trade deadline. That is a humongous chip for Brad Stevens to have. And guess what? If the Celtics are contenders and they are good, like Jaylen Brown's leading the way and they're the second best team in the East, then keep them. You'll lose him for nothing, but okay, you get Jayson Tatum back the next year. How much is that really going to hurt you? Or if you are in contention, there's still a way you can trade him and get a roster piece back. But again, I don't really expect the Celtics to really be in the mix to win the Eastern Conference next year without Tatum. But you've got yourself one hell of a trade piece right there. And it might get done before draft night. I love this deal. Okay, I don't love giving up Jrue Holiday just in a vacuum, but of course we knew that was coming. Jrue Holiday, for as much as I love him, wasn't going to do much for you this year. You weren't going to be in contention. He was going to need to play more limited minutes. He just wasn't going to give you what a player like Jrue Holiday needs and, you know, what a team that is getting Jrue Holiday needs. Anfernee Simons, he can give you something, man. I don't know that he'll start. I think it's Pritchard and White and some combination of those guys. I think Simons comes off the bench. But he can give you something, man. I expected them to get a couple of second-round picks and some scrub journeyman. Instead, they got a pretty good player here. A player who can contribute to a Celtics team next year that will be a playoff team. So Brad Stevens, man, keep cooking. Keep cooking. Brad Stevens, he's still one of the best GMs in this sport. He really is. He's not even rebuilding on this. He's reloading. And now the Celtics have a ton of options. That said, this probably won't be the last deal before Wednesday night. NBA draft, as I'm putting this out there, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, first round, the Celtics will get another deal done. It'll probably be for Kristaps Porzingis, which is why I'm a little surprised, actually, that it was a guy like Anfernee Simons coming in return from Portland and not Rob Williams. You know, we love Rob. We know he's super injury prone. We know you can't count on him for a whole season. Maybe Anfernee Simons, who has had some injury history in the past, can play a little bit more. He played 70 games this year. But that does go to show something that they didn't get Rob Williams in return. I thought that could have easily been a guy thrown in a package for Jrue Holiday. And he does bring a bit more of a defensive acumen than Kristaps Porzingis had, although Porzingis did improve as a defender, a rim protector, when he was with the Celtics. So maybe Anfernee Simons can improve as a defender. I don't think he becomes an all-NBA defensive guy or anything. But Kristaps Porzingis is probably the next to go. And if they can get a deal like this for Jrue Holiday and they can get a good return for Kristaps Porzingis, guess what? You don't need to do the Derek White thing. You don't need to do the Jaylen Brown trade. Nothing is saying you need to do it anyway, but you already cleared $40 million off the tax penalties just from this Jrue Holiday trade, and you got a good player in return. Teams are going to want Kristaps Porzingis. They are, especially those teams out west, man. I think Windhorst said it. Like, it's crazy. These teams are clawing their eyeballs out in the Western Conference just to be the 10 seed. This is like 10, 15 years ago what it was in the NBA with, the East just being like totally wide open. In fact, the real winners of this whole last couple of weeks, this last month or so, have been the Knicks. They don't have a friggin' coach yet, but Halliburton goes down with an Achilles, Tatum goes down with an Achilles, and all of a sudden they're the team to beat in the East. And the West, they're clawing their eyeballs out, and Portland was right there for a play-in spot last year. Like, I think Portland thinks they're closer than a lot of other fans think they are. That's why they're doing this Jrue Holiday thing. But expect Kristaps Porzingis to be next. And if he is, that means you're probably not going to see anything for Derek White and Jaylen Brown. Although I think there will be some serious suitors there. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you like this Jrue Holiday trade? Why is Portland doing this? They're closer than people think, but I don't think they're that close. Why is Portland doing this, and who's the next to go for the Boston Celtics? What is the next shoe to drop? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe if you love Brad Stevens and how he's reloading this team. Catch us on YouTube live at high noon Eastern time every weekday, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Check out the other videos on the channel, talking Celtics and everything else going on in the world of Boston sports. I'm your host, Cam Stewart, Zach Burke, keeping us on the air 5 days a week. Yeah, there's going to be some more moves coming with these Celtics. It is going to look like a different team next year. I will say, Anfernee Simons is going to be the worst defensive rotation player they've had since Kemba and his Freedom and his Cantor Freedom, whatever the fuck his name is. Those guys were horrible defensive players. And of course, they really turned that around with Ime, and Mazzulla kept, you talk about Mazzulla Ball being that offensive side of the ball. He really, that defense didn't really dip after Ime left. And Ime is one hell of a defensive coach down there in Houston now. So they do need some defenders. We'll see. Pritchard's a decent defender for his size. Obviously, Derek White's an all-defensive kind of guy, but you take another all-defensive guy out there. You take a Hall of Famer off your roster in the Jrue Holiday trade. So how they get better defensively, I don't know. We'll see. Speaking of defensive, Alex Cora has been pretty defensive these days. His team is pretty shit defensively. Is Alex Cora managing for his job in the middle of this 2025 season? Let's talk about it next on The Cam Show.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
BizChair.com, your one-stop shop for premium commercial furniture that blends quality with affordability. From ergonomic office chairs to durable restaurant seating, we cater to diverse industries including corporate, medical, hospitality, and education. With over 20 years of experience, we offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high-traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at BizChair.com to transform your business. At Mitzi, we believe the right light can transform any space. Born from a third-generation lighting family, we craft beautifully designed, premium lighting that's made to be affordable. Inspired by Grandma Mitzi's eclectic style, we're on a mission to make high-quality lighting accessible to all. Whether you're updating your space or adding a unique fixture, Mitzi has the perfect design for you. Beautiful, well-made lighting without the high price tag. Discover your perfect light at Mitzi.com. That's MITZI.com. Mitzi. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
And now, back to our show.
Man, those 44 Pros. Some good-looking gloves, man. If 44 Pro is listening, as someone who advertises on my show, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't hate a 44 Pro glove. And in fact, if you could, can you get 26 of them to the Boston Red Sox, please? They don't know what the hell they're doing. Nothing. I feel like Frank Costanza. You don't know what the hell you're doing. To George Steinbrenner. We've talked about the Celtics in this big-time trade. Now we need to shift to the Red Sox. The Red Sox, if they knew how to play baseball, like if they knew the fundamentals of the game and base running and defense, they'd be a pretty good team. See, that's the problem. Everything else is great except like the fundamental grasp of the rules of the game and how to play the game and that kind of stuff. Other than that, they're fine. You know, the vibes, good. Okay, uniforms, like them. But like the basic grasp of the game of baseball, the Red Sox have completely lost that. And now they've lost 3 in a row. 3 straight games where they've out-hit their opponent and they've lost. Because that's a deeper indication of what this team really is. A bunch of fucking boneheads. And it doesn't get better. They make the same mistakes game after game, week after week, month after month, and yes, year after year. And the one constant has been Alex Cora, the manager. The guy who says after these games, oh, we make a mistake doing this, this, and this. And a month ago said, I don't know what to do. You're not getting any better. And it looked like you had a bit of that dead cat bounce after the Rafi Devers trade. You had won a couple of series in a row. You end up winning 4 series in a row going into this weekend in San Francisco. And then you piss 2 games away. And then you piss a game away last night in Anaheim. You were up 3-0 before the other team even took up a bat to the plate. And by the end of the first inning, you were basically punting the game. Because Walker Buehler is atrocious. $21 million for this guy to do that. To put on, 5 or 6 guys in the first inning without the benefit of a hit? He walked 3 or 4 and he hit 2 more. And he gave up 5 fucking runs after being spotted 3 against Anaheim. And Alex Cora is just leaving him out there to die. Just leaving him out there, letting the friggin' vultures get after him in the first inning, throwing 40 pitches, absolutely no feel for the zone at all, hitting guys, walking guys. I think one guy had a hit in that, one hard hit ball in that whole inning, and it was when he gave up a home run on the first friggin' pitch that he threw. Walker Buehler sucks. A lot of players on this team suck, but yet the constant over the last couple of years has been Alex Cora. And he had his shining moment again last night because this was the play that defined the game and probably the play that defines the Red Sox season. You truly cannot get more stupid baseball than what we just saw right there. Again, let's take you into this. This is the 7th inning of a 1-run game, and Jarren Duran is on second base with nobody out. What in the fuck is this guy doing? Like, what is he doing, man? It is a ground. Let's roll it back. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with that play? And how does Alex Cora respond to it? It's the umpire's fault. Yeah, he's coming out to argue the play and then gets ejected for the 2nd game in a row. What are you arguing? Then rip the umpires because it's always somebody else's fault. Has that not been the theme of these last few games for the Red Sox? It's somebody else's fault. Oh, this call was blown. This umpire stinks. Oh, it's this and this and this. And never, we don't know how to play the fucking game. And we've got a manager who just lets it happen every single day. Here's what Cora said after the game about this call. You know what? I don't even want to do it. I don't even want to do it. He basically says it's the blocking the base rule. And the rule book clearly states that if it's like an automatic out, like Jarren Duran is walking into an out, then that is okay to do. The Red Sox do not have a leg to stand on here. And yet Alex Cora is getting thrown out of the 2nd straight game. Like, this has all the feels, by the way. Just all the feels of John Farrell 2017. Where you had a guy coaching and managing for his job, night in, night out, and it wasn't working. It's not working. We saw it earlier this year with keeping some of the kids down or on the bench or not playing against lefties. because Alex Cora is managing every game like it's his last. And now he just gets thrown out of all of them. And again, there's no accountability on this team. Jaren Duran, especially with Rafi Devers gone, is supposed to be one of the leaders. Like, he's the guy who had a microphone in his face after Devers gets traded. And that's the best he could do. It's not first and second. It's just a guy on second, nobody out, ground ball to the shortstop, and he's taken off. Oh, it's good aggressive base running, is it? No, it's fucking stupid. And I do mean stupid. I don't have much of a use for him anymore. I don't have much of a use for the manager anymore. Like, what has he done well? What have the Red Sox improved on in the last 3 seasons? Anything? Can you give me anything? Is part of that the front office's fault? Of course it is. Of course it is. But when you extend a manager and he agrees to that extension, you have to have some vote of confidence there. And I said it when this happened last year. I'm like, yeah, I know a lot of people are excited about Alex Cora coming back and it's all the front office's fault and everything. But like, he is in that dugout every day and things aren't necessarily getting better. There's always drama around this team. There's always drama in the clubhouse. There's always miscommunications. And there's a severe lack of fundamentals on this team. These guys are in the major leagues. And they don't know how the game works. They don't know the rules of this thing. They lead the league in like complete little league plays. They're the most little league team in Major League Baseball. Year after year. Their defense is atrocious in the infield. It's atrocious in the outfield. Their base running has sucked for half a decade now. They don't move runners along. They don't hit with runners in scoring position. They don't make productive outs. Like, I just don't understand how that doesn't reflect directly on the manager. And how many other teams would have already fired their manager by now? But he plugged some of the right pieces in 2018. Like, I hate using this excuse, but like, he had a super team in 2018. That was the best roster the Red Sox have probably ever had. And yeah, Alex Cora, I don't know, pitched Rick Porcello and Chris Sale in some bullpen situations. Great. But that team was ready for just a competent manager to win a World Series. They were the best team in the AL East the last 2 years, and they added. Since then, I really can't name something positive that he's done. Like for this culture or for an identity for this team, nothing. And yet he's still the beloved Alex Cora. Oh, do you remember when he was a utility infielder? Do you remember when he yelled out bunt for Melvin Mora when they clinched the division in 2007? Like, I don't get it. And I don't understand why or how more Red Sox fans aren't on board with getting someone new. And I'll admit this, which I don't like doing, but it's true. I don't know who the replacement is. Like, I don't know what the big fix is here. But that said, there's clearly a disconnect between Alex Cora and the front office. I know he agreed with them on the Devers trade, but clearly there's a major disconnect because he and his coaching staff are trying to show up the front office when Roman Anthony goes out there before his second major league game and is learning how to take ground balls in the outfield with the media around. That was clearly a shot at Craig Breslow and their minor league system and not teaching these guys the fundamentals. So maybe Cora's just at a major disadvantage. But clearly, he's not on the same page with the front office and this general manager. He's not exactly the player's manager. Again, Rafi Devers, bad teammate, so much so that you had to run your best player out of town. But, oh, yeah, he's the player's manager. Absolutely, he's the player's manager. There's always something with this team behind the scenes, right? Every week, there's something the last, 3 years. You know, it's Nick Pivetta not wanting to go out into the bullpen, even though he sucked as a starter. It's Rafi Devers not wanting to move positions. It's Jaren Duran calling people the F slur when he's on a hot mic at home plate. It's always something. And yet I'm told this is the player's manager. This is the guy. He's the great communicator. He can't communicate with his players. He can't communicate with his boss, but I don't know. He can talk. Like, that makes him a great communicator. Like, please just show me where Alex Cora makes this a better team. Show me where he's made this a better team the last 3 years. Like, he's got more last place finishes than he's got playoff appearances. Like, we used to run these guys out of town. We used to demand more than this. But now we're okay. Now we're okay because the Patriots have Drake May and training camp starts in a month. We can make it through a month here. We can all go down the Cape, unplug from it for a few days. And before you know it, we'll be back at Patriots training camp. And we won't have to give a shit about the Red Sox anymore. I think that's how a lot of the New England fan base is feeling right now. And it sucks because this was the prime opportunity going into this season for the Red Sox to finally be fucking relevant again in this town and be a real contender. And instead, it's the same old shit year after year after year after year. Do something to make me feel like there's going to be some sort of change. Please, God. Is it time for the Red Sox to fire Alex Cora? I think so. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're fed up with this Red Sox team and their crap. Because we're here live on YouTube every weekday, high noon Eastern time, breaking it down, and then available wherever you get your podcasts as well. So check out the other videos on the channel, talking Red Sox and everything else Boston sports. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air 5 days a week. Let's roll on to another disappointment in Boston sports. I mean, shit, they're kind of all in their own way disappointing right now. The Celtics, it was because of an injury, but they're all a little bit disappointing right now. The Bruins have a major draft pick this week. I don't know that they're going to be able to trade it. Number 7, you're going to be making the pick. Is James Hagens going to be there? And if so, do the Bruins have the balls to pass on him? Let's talk about it next on The Cam Show.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels, our rebounders improve accuracy, control, and technique in both sports. Built with premium materials for durability and ease of use, they're ideal for training anywhere, anytime. Whether you're perfecting your soccer game or sharpening your lacrosse skills, Open Goal USA has you covered. Visit OpenGoAAALusa.com and elevate your training today.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Introducing Muck-Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. Developed by our mad developer Alex and tested by riders, our products are made by riders for riders. Discover more at us.muc-off.com, where we break the mold to bring you the best in bike care.
Visit roguemediamusic.com for more music.
Are you ready to take control of your health? At 4U Health, we believe wellness and lab testing should be accessible, inclusive, and yes, fun. With our tech-powered at-home lab test, you save time and money while feeling your best. Say goodbye to long waits and office visits. Check your health on your own terms with 4U Health. Visit 4uhealth.com today and free yourself from traditional medicine. That's the number 4uhealth.com.
And now, back to our show.
Back to the Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeping us on the air as he does every weekday, high noon Eastern time on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. We've got a couple of big drafts this week. I don't really care much about who the Celtics are going to pick on Wednesday because it's not a premium pick. But the Bruins have a pretty interesting one on Friday. They will be picking number 7, and they could have a pretty storybook kind of pick available for them at number 7 in the draft. Could James Higgins actually fall to the Bruins at number 7? Weirdly, it's getting more and more likely by the day. I still don't understand him slipping this far, but yeah, that's been one of the talks of the first round of this 2025 NHL draft. Higgins was the number 1 prospect going into the season. Like, everyone thought he was going to be the number 1 pick in the draft before his freshman year this year at BC. And now he's available potentially at pick 7, 8, or even 9. We went over Craig Button's final Craigslist the other day. He had the Bruins having him available at number 7, but the Bruins picking Caleb Desnoyers instead and taking Higgins going number 8. That would be wild, man. That would be wild. I kind of understand the slippage just from a standpoint of, he's not the biggest guy in the world. He's at 5'11". You wonder how that is going to project as a number 1 center in the NHL. But let me say this. If James Higgins is available to the Bruins at number 7 in the first round, they should really say 2 things. They should say thank you, and they should say, with the 7th overall pick of the 2025 NHL draft, the Boston Bruins select James Higgins, center, Boston College. And move on, say your blessings, and bring in a potential number 1 center after next season. Because Higgins is going to play another year at BC. But let's not overthink this, okay? I talked about it on the show last week. I do love Caleb Desnoyers. I do. And if they ended up with him instead, I'd be pretty happy. I like his size. I like his potential defensive acumen. I love the way he plays in big games. But James Higgins here, this is a classic don't overthink it. He was the number 1 prospect going into this year for a reason, okay? And as an 18-year-old, he went and played in college hockey in the toughest conference in college hockey, playing against 23-year-olds in Hockey East as a part of a team that was the number 1 team in the country for a good bit of the year, okay? Don't overthink this. Like, honestly, I know some Canadian fans don't love to hear this, but the way that college hockey and the NCAA is churning out prospects, it's pretty much the best developmental league in terms of the coaching you're getting, the physicality you're going up against, the kind of players you're going up against. Again, these 22, 23-year-olds rather than 20-year-olds. That's a big difference. And so James Higgins, I think, probably learned a lot from playing for Greg Brown and BC for a year in the NCAA and a year in Hockey East and playing with some future NHLers as well and playing against a lot of them. He had an awesome World Juniors. I think he had like 9 goals in 7 games in that tournament. So he was a point a game player at BC, 37 points in 37 games, playing in the toughest conference in college hockey for a team with a ton of expectations. Don't overthink this. There are going to be teams in the top 5 that pass on James Higgins because he's 5'11", and they're going to regret it. They are. What I do wonder is, as it pertains to the Bruins, that number 6 pick is owned by Philadelphia. They just traded for a center in Trevor Zegras. Okay, young center, kind of taking a flyer on him. Do they bring in a guy like Higgins? I mean, that was obviously a threat. They were a threat to do that anyway. But do they bring in a guy like James Higgins, who probably is a center, but could still play on the wing? And if this Trevor Zegras thing doesn't work out, he could be your center. And if it does work out, he can play on a wing. Maybe. But I'm telling you, I love Caleb Desnoyers. I do. I like Jake O'Brien. I don't like Roger McQueen. But if James Higgins is there if James Higgins is there for you at number 7, do not overthink this, Don Sweeney. Don't overthink this, Boston Bruins. Take the kid. Because then what it will also do is actually build some hype for this fan base. Because he is going to go back to BC next year. And you will have Bruins fans tuning into NESN and ESPN Plus every weekend watching BC hockey. They'll be at the Beanpot. They'll be watching the Beanpot. They'll be at the Hockey East Championships at the Garden. They'll be in Worcester when BC is inevitably playing there in the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. They will be all over this. And for the first time in a while, you can actually build up some hype about a prospect. We're not watching the CHL. We're not watching the Providence Bruins, but we will watch Boston College, BC versus BU, BU Northeastern in the Beanpot, BC Maine in the Hockey East Championship. We're watching all that, man. And so then you have these Bruins fans who is probably going to be miserable watching their team the next season, but watching this kid go over a point a game in Hockey East in their own backyard, that's going to create some hype amongst your fans, which is something that you also really need right now. But James Higgins, I think, is going to be a number 1 center in the NHL. I think we just got a ton of people who aren't remembering that he was 18 years old playing in Hockey East. And the things he would have learned about playing an all-around team game to play for a program like Boston College, that's got to be immeasurable. And Scott McLaughlin of WEEI.com, who's one of the guys I really follow for this Bruins coverage, had a really good write-up last month about how James Higgins is slipping, but that season at BC is actually going to help him a lot. And I want to read this paragraph he wrote. Okay, so it starts with Higgins saying, "I thought I had a great season." McLaughlin writes, "He did, but potential first overall pick in the NHL draft is a different standard than most. It's really only by that standard that some questions about Higgins' productions arose. His point per game scoring rate comes up short when compared to recent draft-eligible NCAA freshman stars like Macklin Celebrini, Jack Eichel, and Adam Fantilli. They were all over 1.6 points per game, all of whom wound up being top 3 picks. So when you're comparing him to that, yeah, it's 1 point a game is not going to match up. And some of those guys, to be fair, were the same age. They were all true 18-year-olds. Celebrini was actually 17 for most of his freshman season. McLaughlin goes on to write, "It is more in line with players like Matty Beniers, Hingham, Massachusetts native, 2nd overall in 2021, and Kent Johnson, 5th overall in that same year, both of whom are rounding into nice NHL players, but required a little bit more developmental patience." And that's what Higgins will need. He'll have another year at Boston College. It's just wild to see. I've been kind of following some of the local guys' draft stocks. Once the Bruins started to suck, I've been following a lot of those kind of local guys' draft stocks throughout the year. It's crazy to see how much Higgins has fallen. There was nobody a month and a half ago saying he should be picked outside of the top 5, and yet here we are. It's crazy. This is another quote from Higgins. "You're playing against guys that are 24, 25 years old every night. It's tough. It's hard hockey, but I'm super grateful to be able to have the year I was able to have with the group of guys that we did have, those guys that were able to sign and move on. Just seeing all the great things that they're doing now and being with them throughout the year was special. This year went really well, coming in right away and learning how to adapt to a pace of play and a structure of a college level game. It was something that really helped me and helped my game out." That's the other thing here. The rapid ascension of the NCAA in hockey over the last 5 or 10 years, really like the last 5, has been incredible. For the first time ever, I think the NCAA is the best developmental league for a lot of these guys for the NHL. They have great coaching, great facilities, incredible investment. It's as invested as they've ever been in this sport at the college level, and you're getting more talent than you've ever had. 15, 20 years ago, Jack Eichel wasn't playing at Boston University. Neither was Macklin Celebrini. And Adam Fantilli wasn't playing college hockey either. Those guys were playing in the queue. They were putting up 2.5 points per game, putting up video game numbers, and then they were trying to get adjusted to life in the NHL. Because again, I'll go to McLaughlin here. He puts it perfectly. Higgins is right about the level of competition. Playing college hockey against older, more physically mature competition is more of a challenge for an 18-year-old than playing Canadian major juniors against other teenagers. I'm not saying those are bad leagues, but he's absolutely right there. He goes on to say, it's why you're going to start to see more prospects jump from the CHL to the NCAA, either in their draft-eligible season or the year after getting drafted, now that players from the Q, the OHL, and the WHL are eligible to play college hockey, a recent change that has and will continue to shake up the amateur hockey world. By the way, another win for the United States in hockey because all those great CHL prospects are going to come here. Gavin McKenna, the next like Connor McDavid, Connor Bedard kind of prospect, he's going to play in NCAA. He's going to probably play at Penn State or Michigan State. Like that's huge for college hockey. That is tremendous for our sport and our game. James Higgins got thrown into that fire as an 18-year-old and was still a point a game and dominated at the World Juniors, which is where a lot of these kids are being judged. So I don't see any world where James Higgins should drop out of the top 5. But if he's there at 7, it would be malpractice for the Bruins to not draft him. Malpractice. But if they draft Caleb Desnoyers, it's not the end of the world. But James Higgins, if he is there and he is the guy, it makes so much sense for your needs, for your timeline, for like reasonable timeline, and for fan engagement, fan excitement. James Higgins is the guy. Don't overthink this. In fact, I can't believe I'm saying this, but do what the Red Sox did. In 2021, the number 1 prospect going into the draft, where the Red Sox had the number 3 pick, was a teenage shortstop named Marcelo Meyer. But these other teams wanted pitching needs, so they let him slip to 3 or 4 or wherever it was. And Chaim Bloom was sitting there saying, this is the best player in the draft. I'm going to draft him. He became one of the best prospects in baseball, and now he's an everyday middle infielder for you. Third baseman for right now. Don't overthink this. There's a reason he was the number 1 prospect going into this draft. He did not suffer a major injury, so you don't have to worry about that. And he is going to be a big-time player in college hockey next year. He's going to be a Hobie Baker kind of contender next year, Heisman for college hockey, and he is going to be over a point a game. And that will drum up all kinds of interest for the Bruins to the point where a year from now, we could be saying they got the seal of the draft at number 7 if it's James Higgins. Don't overthink this. Pick the local kid. Of course, he wants to get picked by his local team in Long Island. But number 7, if he's there, do not overthink this. Pick James Higgins. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Who do you like for the Bruins at number 7? And how asinine would it be if they didn't draft Higgins if he was available? Let me know in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you think Don Sweeney should lose his job anyway. And catch us live at high noon Eastern time every weekday here on YouTube. And then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Check out the other videos on the channel. Talking a lot of Bruins and everything going on in the world of Boston sports. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air every weekday. We will see you tomorrow on a little ditty that we like to call The Cam Show.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internex.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Sanes, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit twosains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.